Hi, I'm Jennifer of Celtic Knot Crochet, and today in this video I'll be showing you how to make the Crochet Cowrie Bracelet. This is an easy project that uses simple crochet stitches and a few special beads that you can find in your local craft store or online. In this video I'll show you how to crochet all the pieces and put it all together. Let's get started. If you like this project, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and click to subscribe. And if you know someone else who loves to crochet jewelry, make sure to send this along to them. To make this bracelet, we're going to crochet this middle section first, and then we're going to crochet these two outer sections. They're the same, so we'll create two of those, and then we'll use these cowrie beads to attach everything together. Let's go over the supplies you'll need for this bracelet. I use size 3 cotton crochet thread, and the particular one I used is Lizbeth by Handy Hands and in color Ecru. But you could use Aunt Lydia's Fashion 3 or size 3 by Knit Picks. There are several options, but I thought the natural color looked really nice. Again, you could use whatever color you like, and I'm using a 2.75 millimeter or C crochet hook. Let's go over the supplies that aren't crochet supplies. You'll need 2 wooden beads, and again, remember, a list of all these supplies with purchase links is in the description below. You'll want 2 cowrie beads, and these are special beads that have cut off the top of the cowrie shell, so they're relatively flat. They have such a pretty shape. So you'll need 2 of those, and they're pretty open, so you don't have to worry about holes in them. And then you'll want a plumeria bead. I found a place on Amazon that sent me a whole bunch of different colors. I liked the pink and the blue the best, but all these different options. Then you'll want a needle that's got a small enough eye that won't wreck your project, but big enough that the size 3 thread can fit through, so an embroidery needle works well for that. I use some jewelry pliers just to open up the jump rings that we're going to put at the end so we can attach the clasp. So you'll need 1 clasp and 2 jump rings. Anywhere between 6 and 10 millimeters works well. These are extra strong ones, so they don't come undone. And if you see, we're going to sew them onto the end so you can fasten your bracelet. Before we get started on our center section for the bracelet, I wanted to show you a little diagram to help you understand where we're going to put everything. So we're going to start by chaining 14, and then in the second chain from the hook, we're going to put a single crochet. Then we're going to slide a bead over the chain, and I'll show you how to do that. And that bead is going to sit over this first chain, this next chain here. Then we're going to work a slip stitch and a single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Then we're going to slide the flower bead over the chain, and that's going to take up 3 chains. So after we do the flower bead, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains left. So that's how we know where we are. 5 chains left. And then after the flower bead, we're going to do a single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Then we're going to put a slip stitch here. And then we're going to put 1 more wooden bead over the chain. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the last chain. And then this whole thing we're going to repeat along this other side of the chain. So let me show you with an actual hook and yarn. As we mentioned before, we're going to be working on the center section first. So we're going to need the 2 wooden beads and your flower bead. And again, normally I would be using this pretty natural Ecru color, But so it's easier for you to see the stitches, I'm going to use a bright pink. And you want to put your slip knot on your hook. And you're going to chain 14. And we're going to work up one side of the chain. So we're going to work along the regular side of the chain, and then we're going to work back down along this side. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to single crochet in the second chain from your hook. So I skip this first chain and I'm going to insert my hook right there, single crochet into the next chain, like so. Now this is where we get a little creative with the beads and create the macrame look. So we're going to use our needle, and you're going to take one of the wooden beads, and I put the yarn tail onto my needle, and I'm going to thread the whole chain right through the bead. And I'll slide the bead across, and it's going to take up one chain and cover up that one chain. I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to continue to work in the chains past the bead. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next chain and do a slip stitch. And I'm just going to let those long loops extend over the bead. So I'll try that again. So I'll undo that and I'll show you. So I just want to make sure it's a nice loose slip stitch. So I insert my hook into the chain after the bead, yarn over, pull through there and through the loop on my hook. Make sure there's plenty of space for that top loop to go around the bead. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next two chains. 1, 2, and then I'm going to slide. I kept the needle on my yarn tail, and now I'm going to slide the flower bead also over the chain. So that's one thing you want to make sure is when you're buying your beads, make sure that the hole is going to be big enough to fit over your chain. And this is going to take up about 3 chains. So now that we've put our flower bead on the chain, we want to check how many chains we can see. So we should be able to see 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all other chains, the 3 that are covered up by the flower bead, we're going to skip. And we just want to work a single crochet in that next chain, and we want to make sure it's nice and loose and that the loops stretch across. So sometimes I just pull it like this, and there we have the loop stretching across, just like a macrame. And we'll do another single crochet here, and then a slip stitch in the next stitch, in the next chain. And now we're going to thread on another bead. And have it go over the chain length. And now we should have 1 chain left right there. So we're going to work a single crochet right in that last chain. And again, we're going to do it nice and loosely so our loops go around the bead. So hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And on the back, you can see how the loops have extended over the bead. And that's what macrame looks like. So now we're going to go down the other side. We're going to work along this side of our center section. So I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to work the same stitches and work around the beads in the same way. So in this first chain right here, I'm going to put a single crochet like I did before. And then in this next chain on the other side, I'm going to put a slip stitch going around the bead again. So you can see now the bead has crochet on the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to put a single crochet in each of the next two chains. 1, 2. That's just making it a little bit thicker. Now I'm going to work around the flower bead again, and so I should have 3 stitches on this side of the flower bead that I'm going to work in. So the first one, I'm going to put a single crochet, and then the next one, a single crochet, then a slip stitch, and this is the one right next to the bead. And then my last stitch after the bead is going to be a single crochet. I just make sure I go all the way over and around the bead nice and loosely. And there you go. That's your center section. We have 2 beads framing a pretty flower bead with crochet all around. So we fasten off, and we're going to leave a nice long yarn tail so we can use that later to help us sew everything together. So you can set this one aside. Now that we've completed the center section, we're going to create these 2 end sections, and I want to say something about the length of the bracelet. So this original that I made, according to the written pattern, is 8 inches long. But if you'd like to make yours a little bit longer, you just are going to chain a different amount for each of these. So we're going to add 3 chains to make this an inch longer, and add 2 chains to make it the whole total length a ½ inch longer. And then if you want it shorter, you're going to chain less. So we're going to chain less than 3 chains to make it an inch shorter, and we'll chain less 2 chains to make it a ½ inch shorter. But the original amount of chains we're going to do is 11. So you're either going to do 14, 13, or 9 and 8. So this is very simple, and again, you could even make these sections longer if you needed an even longer bracelet, or if you were making an anklet. So I'm going to chain 11. And just like I did before, I'm going to work along one side of the chain and then back across the other side of the chain. And this is just making those little end pieces. So you're going to skip the first chain and insert your hook into the second chain and single crochet in each chain across. So you'll have 10 single crochets. And this right here, just to give you an idea, is approximately 1 inch and 3/4 long. Okay? Then you're going to chain 1, and we're going to work along the other side of our chain. So I just insert my hook into those unused loops and do another row of single crochet. And here I am at the end, and then I'm going to chain one and slip stitch in that first single crochet of the round or the row. And I'm going to cut a nice long 8 to 10 inch yarn tail because I'm going to use that to help finish the bracelet. So I'm going to make 2 of these, and then we're ready to put the whole thing together. Here are our 3 crocheted pieces, and before we move on, I recommend wet blocking these pieces. It's very simple to do. You just completely soak it with some cool water and then take a clean towel and press out the excess liquid and then lay it on a dry towel. You can pin the ends in place like so and let it dry. And if it's hot and summery where you live, you can put these out in the sun or in the shade on a hot day and they'll dry really fast and you don't have to wait overnight. But it just helps the fibers to relax. So if you see this one that I have here, the completed one, this end is laying nice and flat. Unlike this one that I just completed, and you can see it's a little twisty and not laying flat. So it just gives a nice finished look. You don't have to do it, but it's just one of those things that helps things look their best. Here's how we're going to put all the pieces together. You'll want to use the yarn tails that are on your center section to attach the cowrie beads. So I put my embroidery needle onto the end of this yarn tail, and then I take my cowrie bead. Remember, the top has been cut off, so you can access down through the middle and up through the middle of this bead. So you're going to do a figure 8 around the bead. So you'll go down through this side. This is another reason why you need a small needle. And you might have to play around with where you can fit the needle. So you go down through the center, like so. And then you're going to go up and around this side and then back down through the center. And you want to make sure that the stitching is going right through that center part of the bead. And I like to turn it over for this part so you can see how the stitching there is looping around. And then to secure it so it doesn't get looser, because it's really easy to make it loose, I'm just going to work through those stitches here at the end of the section. And pull it nice and snug. And then I'm going to wrap around this join right here about 3 times. This can be a little tricky. You just have to hold the bead and slide that in there. Okay, I think I went around 4 or 5 times. And then I'll put my needle back down through one of those loops I just created. And that kind of secures it. But I'm going to do another knot on the back. So here's how I like to do a knot. I just find a loop on the back, pull my needle through to where I still have, before I've finished, I still have that loop that I'm making, and I put the needle back through that loop to create a knot. Pull it nice and tight. And you want to make sure that this faces the wrong side of the bracelet, and this part of the cowrie faces up. So you're going to do that on the other side in the same way. You'll go down into the center, around the end, back down into the center, knot it and wrap it. And then you're going to add these end pieces in the same way. You're going to go down into the center, around the end, back down into the center, and then knot it and wrap. So the key here is to making sure that everything is facing the right way. So this is my right side of my end section, and this is the right side of my center section. So I want to make sure they're all going the correct way. And here we go. I'm going to go down through the center of the same cowrie, snug it up like so, then go around the end, and this is where it's tricky, so I can hold it with my thumb. Go back down through the center and snug it up, and to see it on the back. So now I have 2 passes, and then connect here with that crocheted piece, and snug it up. And then I can tie a knot here if I want. If you find that it's hard to keep it from loosening on you, you can do a knot first before you do the wrapping. But I think I'm okay. So now I'm going to wrap around this area here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that looks good. And then on the wrong side, do my method for knotting. Weave in and then make sure to add a knot. And while I'm at it, I didn't do it at the other one, but you have to weave in all your ends on the back. Trim off the excess. And there we have one side of our bracelet completed. And we'll do the same thing on this other side. And the last step is to sew on the jump ring and the clasp. So first you want to attach the jump ring to the clasp. It's pretty simple. If you look carefully at a jump ring, there is a place right there. See where it is joined together? You can use 2 pliers or just 1, and you want to open it up that way. So I pulled this section towards me and I push the other section away from me, and then I slip the clasp on like that, and then I push everything back together like so. And then I'm going to use my yarn tail and the embroidery needle, and I want to make sure that the end of this yarn tail is coming right out of the center of this section right here. Like that. And then I just put my needle through the jump ring and then back down through the crocheted section. Do that several times to make sure that it's nice and secure. Maybe 4 or 5 times. And I can even add a knot like I did in the other section. And because you're using the yarn tails, everything matches. Make it nice and tight. And on the wrong side here, just let's see here. Make a knot and go through the stitching like so, and cut off the excess. So there you go. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're just going to only sew on the ring so that you can clasp it together like that. And there you have it. That's how you make the Crochet Cowrie Bracelet. I hope you enjoyed this project. Make sure to give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to click to subscribe. And if you know someone who would like to make this bracelet, please forward this video on to them. Thanks for watching and happy crocheting!